I don't know how, man. See, that's my truth is I don't know how. I'm one of those literal people. Nephew, I added it up. I got the calculator out and I looked at the checkbook. I saw what I was bringing in and I saw what I had to pay. I don't know how. I look at what we have in this room and I'm counting up the numbers that we have here every single night. And here we stand in one of the biggest sanctuaries in the city. I don't know how. I just know he made a way. We came down here on a whim and a wish. And they opened the door and said, whatever you need, you can have. I don't know how. But one thing I'm sure of, that it was him that did it. And I'm grateful. And I'm grateful. Thank you, praise team. I appreciate y'all on the day. Y'all sung y'all hearts out all day long today. That's my praise team right there. Listen, I was sitting on the side earlier today saying that's my praise team on today. How we doing today, Sunrise? Everybody good? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all sound like y'all might be already where I need y'all to be. I was ready to round y'all up, but y'all already standing. Y'all ready to go. I want to thank each and every last one of you so very, very much here at Sunrise Christian Fellowship. You guys showed up for one of our members on today. You loved on the Chalmers family, and I appreciate every single thing that you guys did, everything that we know that you did, and everything that we did not see that we know y'all took care of. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart for showing the love of Christ to that family on today. And so let's go ahead and get to what God wants to get into because I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. We're going to go ahead and get into Psalms 27. We're going to read verses 1 through 3 in the New Living Translation. However, comma, this is what I need you to do. When you read this verse of scripture, I need y'all to read it in a certain type of way. I was going to read it for you, but I think y'all can pull this off. I need y'all to read this as if you believe every single word that is being said, as if you know it for certainty. I need you to read it as if you're reading your own name out loud. I need y'all to have confidence and a little bit of arrogance when you read in this scripture here, because that's what we're going to go on today. So let's read this together. Psalms 27, 1 through 3. Let's read. And it reads, the Lord is my light. My salvation. So why should I be afraid? Come on. The Lord is my fortress, protecting me from danger. So why should I tremble? When evil people come to devour me, when my enemies and foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though a mighty army surrounds me, my heart will not be afraid. Even if I am attacked, I will remain confident. All right. We're going to go ahead and take that screen down because I don't want y'all to miss nothing of what I'm saying. And my sermon is pretty simple on tonight. We're going to do something a little bit talking to your neighbors on today. So I want you to look at somebody, lock eyes with somebody real quick. And I want you to say this line with me. I can't lose. I can't lose. I can't lose. I can't lose. One of my favorite rappers that y'all don't know is a rapper by the name of Terry Rapp. And one of Terry Rapp's famous sayings that he has is he says on almost every track that he raps on, I can't lose. I can't lose. And this verse here, this saying right here can mean several different things depending on who's saying it and how they say it. It's one of those things that can take on a whole different meaning by tone and inflection. Tasia, I can say it like this. I can't lose. Oh my God, I can't afford to lose. I can't lose. I sound helpless. I seem like I need some help. And I seem like I don't even believe what's happening to me, but I'm just really, really hopeful that I don't lose. Or you can say it with a little bit of determination in your voice, but you know things ain't going your way. Like, listen, I can't lose, not again. Not again, not this time. I know what's happened before, but I cannot lose. I can't afford to, not again. I'm going to do everything, but I can't lose. But the way this verse landed on my spirit from King David was from a stance of arrogance, yes, and belief, yes, and certainty. And you know, you get to a certain point sometimes when you did looked at the stats and you looked at who's coming up against you, you looked at everything else, and you looking around and you just somehow, some men you just said, I can't lose, Mark. Even I can't lose. It's just not possible. I can't lose. I mean, have you seen them and have you seen me? Have you seen what they got and you seen what I got? I'm trying to tell you, I can't lose. You think that I'm gonna lose this one? Have you seen me? Have you seen what I got with me? Have you seen my boys? We playing hoop them and this. Hey, I can't lose. If I wanted to, it's not even possible. I just can't lose. And if you've never played a sport before, or you've never been in competition, or if you're a little bit of a loner, you may want to stay away from people. Then it might be hard to kind of convey that feeling that David is having in this text. That feeling that you get when you just know for a fact, I done looked everything up and down, and if this is what we doing, can't tell I can't lose. I don't even know why they brought this up over here to me. This is ridiculous. You shouldn't have done this because I absolutely cannot lose. I have the Lord with me. Who shall I fear? Who am I supposed to be scared of? Who am I supposed to be afraid of? I have the Lord as my light and my shepherd. I cannot lose. We're talking about victory here, and David is speaking these verses because he's had so many. For those of you that aren't being foolish and not being arrogant, it comes to a point where you're just merely stating facts. I'm not being arrogant. I'm not being flamboyant or boisterous. I'm just simply stating facts. And this thing right here, with what I got with me and what y'all are bringing against me, I can't lose. I just can't lose. It's not possible. I'm standing on a proven foundation of victories, wins that have piled up so much and so high that I can just say for a fact, I can't lose. It comes from being engulfed in what we like to call a winning culture. And a winning culture comes from a strong winning attitude. But a winning attitude can only come from truly having and practicing winning processes. Let me reverse engineer that for you so that y'all understand. Winning processes create a winning attitude. And then a winning attitude will eventually build a winning culture. And when you are engulfed in a winning culture, it allows you to have an expectation of, I can't lose. Yes. It's just not possible. I can't lose. See, this is a seasoned David here in Psalms 27. This is not the shepherd boy. This is not the one going out there talking to Goliath. This is a man that has seen battle. This is a man that has seen trouble. This is a man that has had people after him. This is a man that has been king. This is a man that has been tricked and fooled. This is a man that has failed. This is a man that has succeeded. He is a seasoned man standing on a history of proven outcomes from his relationship and trust in God. David has been so victorious with God that he isn't merely just bragging here. He's actually speaking from actual experience that I can't lose. I have nothing to fear because the Lord is my light and my salvation. And when my enemies come up against me, I can keep my confidence because of what I have seen and what God has done with me. And I need you to understand, this doesn't just happen by accident. Let me help y'all to know something about victory. Victory is not an accidental thing. You don't accidentally have victory. Christ is telling us to follow him to victory, which means he has a path already laid out, which means that he already planned some stuff out, which means that your victory is not a happenstance. It's not an accident. You didn't just wake up and come Dr. Sean Torrey. It's not an accident. Victory don't work that way. That's not how this comes about. It's something that you have to do, and it takes processes and an attitude that will eventually create a culture that got David here and where he was. And so I want to talk a little bit about that so that y'all can get yourselves into a winning culture, because I need everybody in this building to have an attitude that you have God on your side. So therefore, I can't lose. It's just not possible. So we're going to talk first about winning processes. Winning processes. Don't even worry about it. It's simple. Winning processes. In Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 16, God is telling Samuel, listen, stop mourning about Saul. He's not the man no more. He's not going to be the king. I got another king in line. I need you to go down to Jesse. I need you to look at his sons. I'm going to tell you which one of them is going to be the future king. Saul wiped his eyes and said, all right, Lord, I'm going to be obedient. He goes down there, sees Jesse, tells Jesse, one of your boys is going to be king. He says, which one? I don't know. Line them all up. So he lines them all up and he looks them all up and down one by one, and not a single one of them is the one. And he said, Jesse, this is all your boys? He said, well, I got one more. He out there with the sheep and all that. It's my youngest boy. Bring him on in here. Let me look at him. And the minute David came in, he knew right then and there, that's the one. That's the one I want to anoint. And he anointed him, and it says the Spirit of God fell on David. And that was it. That was it. That was it. No celebration, no big, blowout, no reveal, none of that. David went back out into the fields. And matter of fact, David went back to his harp. That's what David went back to. He went back to playing all over again. He didn't go straight to the palace as a king. As a matter of fact, he did go to the palace, but that wasn't the reason why he went. The reason why he went was because Saul was being tormented, and Saul needed something to help alleviate his spirit. And so somebody somehow had heard about David. He had heard his mixtape somewhere out in the shepherd's field. They heard his mixtape and they said, listen, I know somebody, one of Jesse's boys got that heat. I'm trying to tell you, you want to bring him in here because you need to hear it. If you hear it, it's going to make you feel better. And what was happening was that David was dominating already in the spot where he was. David was already killing something where he already was. He knew he was supposed to be the king, but he knew I wasn't the king right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kill what I got in front of me right now. God's put this in my hands. He's anointed me to play the harp. I'm going to kill it right now. And he comes before King Saul and he says, and he starts to play for him, and Saul feels better. So much so that Saul has to write to Jesse and say, listen, I'm going to keep him. I'm sorry, I know that's your boy and your son, but I'm gonna keep him because he's been so good to me, and I found I got to give him so much favor. And what I need you to catch here is that there's some processes at play here as to why David is allowed to be in a position where he's actually winning without being the king. David was winning as a shepherd. David was winning as a harp player. David was winning. Why was he winning? Because he had some processes that allowed him to gain favor with the king. David was obedient. David was a good steward over his gifting. David had been placed when that oil got put on him. Now he was full of the Holy Ghost. And so from that point, also what he also was doing was David was being in his current purpose. Yes, yes. David wasn't in his past purpose. David wasn't thinking about his future purpose. Because if David was so focused on his future purpose about the fact that I'm supposed to be king, he might have felt some kind of way that I'm showing up in front of the king in the palace that God said is supposed to be for me. And the only thing I can do is play the harp in here when I'm supposed to be king. God has told you that you're supposed to be a preacher, and all you can do is work on the safety team. You better kill it out there on the safety team. All God is giving you to do right now is to be on the AV, but you know you're called to entrepreneurship, and you're supposed to design a whole new thing and a whole new platform all over social media. You better kill it in that AV booth. You better be a good steward over what God is giving you, because he's trying to see, can you develop some winning processes? All right, that's good. Very good. For us, we have gone over all year long several of these winning processes. We talked about prayer. We talked about obedience. We talked about worship. We talked about consecration. We talked about fasting. All of these little daily processes will lead you somewhere. They'll lead you into a life of holiness. And when you have a life of holiness, it's going to allow you to stay full of the Holy Spirit. And when you're full of the Holy Spirit, you will be able to keep yourself in an abundant life. And you'll also be able to stay in your purpose. So these little processes that God is telling us to do every single day, y'all ask us what we're supposed to do, and we give you the same ones over and over again. Have you prayed? Are you reading your word? Are you doing? We're trying to help you to understand these little processes build into something else that gets you eventually to the win that you want. These processes lead to a life full of wins. One of my favorite coaches, Nick Saban. He's a football coach. Well, he was a football coach for the University of Alabama. Where's Stephon at? Yeah. I'm glad you're in the back. I don't even want to see your face. Nick Saban is easily the most successful college football coach that we have ever seen. From that time frame when he was at the University of Alabama, almost 20 years, they were favored to win the national championship every single year. It was to the point that people were surprised when Alabama would lose a game. Not when they would lose the championship, because they was already favored to be in the championship. It was a surprise for them to just simply lose a game. It was a surprise if they didn't blow everybody out. Nick Saban was an avid obsessive person about processes. He said, if you want to win consistently, you have to love the process. He said, you got to love every single rep that you do on the bench press. You got to love every single sprint that you do. You got to love every single play that you play. Nick Saban was obsessive about the process. He said, because this is the thing. If you want to be good, you really don't have a lot of choices. People that are good at what they do, to be honest with you, they don't have a whole lot of picking and choosing about what it is they do. He said, because if you want to be good, it just costs what it costs and it takes what it takes. The process is the process. There's no shortcutting and moving around it. If you want to be good, it just takes what it takes. For those of you who don't pay attention to college football, let me bring it on around to you. Carrie, Nick Saban was like one of those bridezillas. And you know, they planned out their whole wedding all the way down to the T, every minute, everything. And the ones, you know, the ones that get upset because you pinned your hair up this way when they wanted it this way. The ones who are upset because the placement was a little bit off, or that the preacher said two words that wasn't a part of the script that they went along with and they would lose it. That's what Nick Saban was as a football coach. I've seen this man have his team winning 63-0, Cat, and there's a minute left in the football game, and he's cussing out one of his players because they messed up on the last play. Coach, it's 63-0. We got a minute left in the game. And he said, I do not care. I need you to pay attention to every single process. How you do one thing is how you will do everything.
That is so good.
He was obsessive about processes. And see, our problem is we tend to overlook the importance of sticking through the process. We look at the scoreboard, Mia, and it's 63-0, and we got a minute left. And so we don't really have to run as hard, or we don't have to push as hard. You know, we already got the game in the bag, and we already have that, and we find ourselves not sticking to the process all the way through. But this is the thing I need y'all to catch. I heard a great preacher once say, y'all may have heard this before, but I don't know. I heard a great preacher once say that we are susceptible to lose the miracle in the monotony. I don't know if y'all heard that before, but I heard that from a great preacher one time, that we're susceptible to losing the miracle in the monotony. The preacher said we can get bored with the basics. The preacher said we can get bored with abundance. The preacher said we can get bored with what it is that we know works. The preacher said we can get bored with stability, but she also highlighted the same thing that we're seeing, that David is saying tonight, that routine establishes systems.
Yes, yes.
Another way of saying that is routine establishes processes. See, our problem is that we think that victory comes from one big sacrifice. The movies taught us this.
Mm-hmm.
You hear people say all the time, Matthias, I'll die for the people that I love. I'll die. And they say it with their whole chest, and they mean it. I'll die for the people that I love. I mean, they're serious about it. Would you die for Mikhail? You would? Would you die for Aiden?
Absolutely.
You would? Tasia, would you die for your woman? You would? Oh. Oh.
Glad you said Aiden.
Oh. I knew who to pick. I knew who to pick. I knew exactly who to pick. I need y'all to understand, victory doesn't come from big sacrifices. It comes from a process of consistent small ones, again and again.
That's right.
And again.
That's right.
And again and again over time. Bernard, you said that you would die for Mikhail. My question is, if you're willing to die for her, Are you also willing to quit your bad habits for her?
That's right. You
Every
went
day?
down the right street.
Every single day? Ma, you said that you would die for Ada. Are you willing to exercise for her? I gave you that one because I know she's actually doing it. She has a whole goal in her head. She wants to see this boy married and raised up. She's praying for his wife and all of that. And she's doing it for him. She's doing it for Erica. She's doing it for all of us because she has a goal of what it is that she's doing. So she exercises every single day, doing the small process again and again and again. Tasia, you said you would die for your mom. Would you fix your sleeping habits for her? I just want to know. Y'all, we're willing to die and jump in front of the bullet for these people, but are you willing to eat healthy for them? Are you willing to chase down your purpose for them? Are you willing to do the stuff that makes you alive? Are you willing to live for them instead of that big sacrifice and saying, I want to die for them? Because we're talking about these winning processes. Some of us aren't victorious because we are unwilling to make the small sacrifices consistently.
That's right. That's right. Jesus. Yeah.
Possibility of victory isn't even in our minds at all. We don't even consider that we can win. Why? Because we ain't even done the basics and we know it. So you say you're shy. You say it's not my time. You say that's not really something I think God is leading me towards. No, that's not it. You know you haven't done the basics. So you know victory is not coming your way. It's the consistency, the routine, and the processes that you are doing every single day that is either making you victorious or is making you defeated. It's your choice. But winning processes create a winning attitude. Let's talk about that winning attitude. When you have done all that you know to do, when you have put in all the work, when you have done your part, when you have put your blood and your sweat and your tears into something, when you have studied to where you know it backwards and forwards, when you have left no stone unturned, when you and God have been out there working harder than anybody you know, when you have been doing all the stuff that you know to do, when you have been on your square, when you have been doing your job, when you have been consistent, when you have been showing up again and again, you get an attitude about a little bit of things. I wish somebody would come test me right now. Do you know how much work I've been putting in? Do you know how much God has got me doing? Please come over here and test me. I dare you to. I've been itching. I've been waiting for this. I've been looking for this. I hope somebody would come out here and test me because I'm getting bored with all the scrimmages that God got me going through. I'm getting tired of just doing all this stuff for no reason. I'm getting sick of practicing. If you ever been on a team and your coach has been practicing and been working you so hard, you can't wait till that other team show up. How dare you come up here talking about y'all gonna play us? Y'all showed up to the game? You actually came? How dare you? Do you know how hard? Oh, please. Please. I got a winning attitude about this thing. And you can't help it. You can't help but to feel some type of attitude when somebody or something comes to test you. But that can also be a little bit something that you have to hold on to. Let's go back to Alabama. 2013, University of Alabama is getting ready to play the national championship game against Notre Dame. I hate Notre Dame.
Oh, come on.
I'm saying that on purpose because I just want it to be on record. I hate Notre Dame. I want them to go winless every year. They're getting ready to play the University of Notre Dame. Notre Dame is undefeated and Alabama is undefeated. And the captain of Notre Dame is a linebacker by the name of Manti Te'o. And Manti Te'o tells this story about how this works. So those of you that are not familiar with football, the way it works is that one team comes out of one tunnel on one side of the stadium, and the other team comes out the other side, of the stadium, and they come out from separate sides to make sure they don't fight, make sure they got their own, all that kind of stuff. But when they were playing the championship game at Chantel, there was one tunnel. So both teams had to come out the same way. And Notre Dame is the home team, meaning they're supposed to come out second. Meaning Alabama's supposed to come out first. But Alabama is staying in their locker room, and they stalling, and they're waiting, and they well past their time when they were supposed to come out. And so now Notre Dame is in the hallway, and they're just like, we're ready to take the field. And they said, no, you can't take the field until Alabama comes out. And they're like getting hyped up. See, I knew they were scared, talking about they're the best team in football. What? Ain't nobody worried about Alabama. They're hyped up and they're jumping around. They slapping each other's helmets. They're like, look, them chumps is scared. And it was all a mind trick because Nick Saban, being the genius he is, he put his biggest guys in the front of the line, and Alabama kicked the door open, and a big 6'4" football player that's 350 pounds by the name of DJ Fluker came out with his jersey rolled up and his belly all out. Wah, 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 wah. And everybody from Notre Dame got immediately silent as these big old boys from Alabama walked out talking trash, looking them up and down, took the field. Now, Notre Dame's captain, Manti Te'o, is keeping a good look. And he's ready. He's looking at him, and he's staring at him. He's ready to go. But he's starting to notice it feels a little quiet behind him. And he said, he turned around, and he looked at his fellas, and all of their eyes was like this. He said, I dropped my head, and I knew right then, it's going to be a long day. And to my delight, Notre Dame got beat 42-14. It was beautiful, chef's kiss. It was wonderful to watch. Why? Because they had forgot the winning processes. Listen, Notre Dame did all the same 3 days Alabama did. They played all the games that they played. They played great competition. They was undefeated. They had nationally ranked players on their team. They had a good recruiting class. They had an excellent coach. They had everything necessary for them to be able to stand there in that hallway and look Alabama in the face and say, what you want to do? But what happened was they forgot about all their winning processes in that moment. And this is what the enemy tends to do to us. He inflates our problems. He inflates the battle. He inflates the issue so much to make it bigger and harder than it actually is. But my man David, this ain't work for David. David ain't had no problem with this whatsoever. When David came up against his Alabama of the day, y'all may call him Goliath, but it was basically his Alabama of the day. David showed up on the scene, and David didn't forget where he came from. He just asked simple questions. Who that, and what I get if I kill him?
That's right.
That's all I want to know. Who is that? And what do I get when I kill him?
Win. Right.
Because I'm going to kill him. He's talking crazy about our God. I don't know why he's still talking and ain't nobody killed him yet. But don't worry about it. I got it handled. David already had that understood. And when they kind of started talking to David and trying to remind him, you don't see that big old man out there with his belly all out, talking about womp womp. David said, listen here, y'all don't understand. Y'all don't know what I've been through. Me and God been out here slinging bears and lions. I've been grabbing lions by their beards. I've been killing all kinds. Y'all supposed to be scared of him. Y'all don't know what let me remind you of my winning processes that I'm standing on as to why I got this kind of attitude. I'm not worried about this dude. He's not a lion and he ain't no bear. And more than that, he don't even have God. I can't lose. What are you talking about? He told him, you come up against me with sword and spear and javelin, and I'll come up against you. Let me let you know, because that ain't going to be enough. With the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, let me tell you something. On this day, the Lord will deliver you into my hands. I'm going to strike you down. I'm going to cut your head off. And then this very day, I'm going to give the carcasses of your whole army to the birds and to the wild animals. Winning attitude. He said, oh, the whole world will know that there's a God in Israel, and all those gathered here will know that it's not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into my hands. Winning attitude that was reinforced and supported by winning processes that him and God had already created. So when we ask you, have you prayed? And when we ask you, have you fasted? And we ask you, did you read your word? We're telling you what you have to do in the off season so that you can develop some winning processes so that when the enemy comes to try to tell you something, you'll be able to look him in the face and say, I can't lose. You've already lost. Let's keep it honest. You've already lost, and you're trying to get me to look. I can't lose. I got God. What are we talking about? Because a winning process creates a winning attitude. And a winning attitude builds a winning culture. Let's go back to Alabama one more time. Steph, this is the most I'm going to talk about Alabama ever again. Alabama, eventually Nick Saban decided to retire. And so his job as the head coach was up for people to apply for. And you would have thought, Alabama, the pride and the prestige, the top of the mountain for the last 20 years, you would think every coach in the country was fighting tooth and you would have thought people was quitting their jobs to apply for this job. You would have thought they would have had so many applicants that they wouldn't even know. You would have thought that they would have been able to pick any coach in the country and say just, you would have thought, but the truth of the matter is this. When you find out what really happened, they really couldn't get a lot of coaches to come take that job. They couldn't because there was an expectation by the fans, the university, and everybody else to win. And a lot of coaches were saying, I don't know if I can stand under that kind of heat. I don't know if I can handle that kind of pressure. I don't know if I can walk into that kind of culture. And I'm the kind of coach that can keep that kind of culture going because I know if I lose, everybody's going to be comparing me to this man over here that was winning nonstop. The Alabama had a difficult time actually filling that spot. And to everybody's surprise, still now, when Alabama loses, everybody is still surprised. Why? Because Nick Saban had created a winning culture. They're expected to win every single game that they come out there. If you see Alabama on the field, they're supposed to be the best team. They're not ever supposed to be an underdog. Listen, when you come from a winning culture, you have some expectations in some areas because winning is just what we do. When you have a winning process and you got a winning attitude and you got all the wins in your culture that proves that what you're doing is correct, after a while, winning is just what we do. I have some expectations for myself. Anybody that wants to line up with me and run 40 yards, I'm trying to tell you right now, I expect to win. Just let me stretch and let me warm up. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care what Olympics you've been to. I have all the expectations from my winning culture that 40 yards or less, I am undefeated. I expect to win. I can't lose. And we have some things that we expect because we have a winning culture. When the Memorial Day picnic comes, I have an expectation that Sunrise Christian Fellowship is going to dominate whatever it is that they decide to do. Pinochle, we're going to win. I don't know if we're going to phase 10. We got that. Kickball, we let them have it this year because we just wanted them to keep playing. In case y'all didn't know, we just wanted them to feel encouraged to keep on playing so that they wouldn't give up and say, hey, let's do something else. But I have an expectation because we have created a winning culture there. When all three houses of the house of Antioch come together to pray at the same time, at the same place, with one thing in mind, I have an expectation that whatever it is that we're praying is going to come forth. If you don't believe me, the Strip is right now having one of the worst economic downturns. And why did that happen? I truly believe because Sunrise Christian Fellowship, New Antioch Christian Fellowship, and Alianza and Central came together at Believers Prayer Conference and walked up both sides of the Strip, praying down heaven. And now it looks like the Strip is having all these financial troubles because we have a winning culture in this house when we decide to pray on the same thing at the same time. Listen, when I have an expectation, people in this city have an expectation that when this woman of God decides to do a funeral, that it is going to come out pristine. I asked somebody who I was trying to get information for my uncle's funeral, and he said, aren't you over there with that woman, what her name is? I said, Bishop Parker. Yeah, her. And he said, I've never been to her church, but I've been to two of her funerals. And here's what I know to be true. She reads down every single person. She preaches the person all the way through. She knows how to pray and how to preach somebody's funeral. Why is that? Because she has a winning process when it comes to approaching funerals. She has a winning attitude when it comes to putting people in the ground. She cares about how you go home. She cares about what happens to you. She researches the person. She studies the word. She studies the person. She asks the Lord to bring it together, and it matters to her, and she has an attitude that this is serious. And now in this city, everybody everybody wants this woman to bury them. If you're going into the ground, this is who you want to put in it. Because we have a winning culture. There's an expectation. The building on Radwick, I have an expectation that we're going to get up there no matter what. I have a flat out expectation. Why? Because of our processes and our attitude. And here's what I can say about both of those things. I don't know how we got in here, but I know God has brought us this far. So therefore, I don't know how we did it, but I know that I'm grateful. So therefore, if God can put us in one of the biggest sanctuaries in the city, and we ain't done nothing but just said, God, we're going to call out to you, and you'll draw the people in, I don't think we can lose, y'all. I just don't see how it's possible. I see that happening for us because we come from a winning culture. There's an expectation that you should have when you're talking about being in combination with you and God. If you're anything like me, I think about the end times all the time. And I have this vision in my head of what it's going to look like when Jesus decides to come back and he decides to thrash Satan and tear his army apart. And I have this expectation of what God is going to do and how it's going to look. And all I'm asking is, Lord, let me be a part of it. I just want to, just give me a sword. Let me do some stuff, I'm sorry, Mark. I think it's the Matrix. He's just going to download all this sword skills into my body, and I'm just going to know how to just be an accurate swordsman. You know what I mean? I have this expectation. I flat out believe that there is no way that we are ever going to lose in the end times. Why? Because God said so. And he has a winning culture. And it comes with the expectation of victory. And so for David, in Samuel chapter 18, they start talking about his winning culture that he created. It says, whenever Saul sent David on a mission, David was so successful that Saul had gave him the high rank in the army. And this pleased all the troops. Let me back up for a second. All the troops. These were the same people that told David that he couldn't beat Goliath. These were the same people that told David that he shouldn't go out there. These were the same people that asked David for his credentials. And now Saul has put him in charge of the army. And those same people are like, David's going with us? Oh, yeah, we're all right. We're good. As long as we got David, we're going to be all right. These same soldiers have this attitude about themselves. The ones that was too scared to even stand up against Goliath. The one that allowed this dude to stand out there day and night talking trash now have an attitude that we can't lose because of what David brought in. They're catching hold of his winning attitude. And so it says that this pleased all the troops and Saul's officers as well. And it says when the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistine, said the women came out from all of the towns of Israel to meet King Saul, and they were singing and they were dancing. They were singing and they were dancing. They were singing to the harp player. They were singing to the one that used to just play the harp for the king. They were singing songs about him and dancing. It says Saul has slain his thousands, but David has slain his tens of thousands. David's winning attitude had become Israel's winning culture, because from that day forward, as long as David was at the forefront of their army, the army of Israel had a winning record. There was very few times that they lost because they had David at the forefront. They weren't lying when they said David killed tens of thousands. David was a bad boy. David killed so many people that God said, listen, you can't build my temple, bro. You got too much blood on your hands, man. We didn't kill too many people. What does it look like? We can't do that. We can't do that. But now this tribe, this army of Israel that was afraid to fight one man, feels as though they can't lose. And this is where David comes along when he's saying what he's saying in the scripture that we read in Psalms. Because David understands from his processes to his attitude and to the culture that him and God have cultivated together, that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Who should I fear? Give me their name. Run me their bio. Give me their list. Give me their credentials. I want to know who I'm supposed to be afraid, because if the Lord is my stronghold of my life, then whom should I be afraid of? Give me their names. Give me their credentials. Give me the situation that I'm supposed to be scared of, because I just need you to understand it is when the enemies and my foes they come up against me, I've seen them stumble and fall. And though an army may besiege me, he's not talking about something, he's not just throwing words out there. He's had this actually happen to him. And he's saying, though an army may besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war may break out against me, not somebody wants to fight me, not I lost my job, not my car won't start, not I feel a little in my throat and I'm a little bit sick. He said, no, when war breaks out against me, and he's speaking from actual facts, he says, even then, I'm going to be confident. I got God. I can't lose. And so, as we're talking about follow me to victory, Christ is trying to get all of us to that level. He's trying to get all of us up to that plateau where it don't matter what comes up against you, where it don't matter what you see in your daily life, where it don't matter what you got in your bank account. It don't matter where you came from. It don't matter if you're standing by yourself. It don't matter if you got everybody else behind you telling you the greatest there is. God is trying to get you to a level. He's trying to get you to follow him to a spot where you know that I have nothing but guaranteed victory. That's where he's trying to get you to follow him to a point to where you can accurately and not just arrogantly say, I cannot lose. It's not possible. But I understand sometimes, and for many of us, we don't necessarily have the winning processes. Or somehow the enemy was able to show up like Alabama and still our winning attitude. And many of us have yet to find ourselves ever in a winning culture. And so tonight I want to pray. And I want to pray for those of you that know. Don't worry about it, Miguel. I want to pray for those of you that know that your current processes, the decisions you're making, the things that you know you can't stop doing, where you're spending your time, is causing you to lose. I want to pray for you because we got to get you into I need to get you into what we like to call a good cycle. And we got to get you up out of this losing ways. We got to get you broken free from some of this stuff. And we got to get you up out of this. You got to be honest with yourself sometimes that what I do on a day-to-day basis is causing me to be defeated. Again, I'm doing the same thing again and again, and I'm getting the same result. And I need y'all to understand God is trying to get you to come out of that and get yourself into some winning processes, small sacrifices every single day. If you're a person that always starts something on Monday and by Thursday you're already thinking about quitting, you're who I'm talking to. I want to pray for you. That is something we have to fix. You should be able to continue on small processes day after day, amounting to things that are going to get you where you need to go. If you're somebody that's honestly going to say, I don't want nobody to know this, but I'm doing something that I just can't stop. I just can't quit it. I've tried everything I know to do. I've asked people, I've researched, I've YouTubed my brains out, and I cannot figure out how to stop. You're who I'm talking to. I want to pray for you all today because we need to get you all into a place where you're having victory on a consistent basis. If you're a person that's in here on today and you're saying that you already know in your brain and in your mind because of your attitude that you don't even expect to win, I want to pray for you. It's not normal for you to expect things not to go your way. That's not a normal way for you to exist. That you believe that things are not supposed to happen for you. That you're surprised when good things come your way. That you're completely astonished that something actually worked out for you. If you're one of those people that you are cynical about every single thing, somebody tells you there's an opportunity, and the first thing you thinking in your brain is how it's not going to work out for you, I want to pray for you. Because you're not going to be able to get yourself to victory if this is the attitude that you have. And if these are the processes that you have. And so the altar is open. And the floor is yours for you to be as honest as you want to be. Because I know for a fact that God didn't give me this message just for me to just say something. Yes. Just for me to preach for no reason. I know for a fact that many of you have been trying to figure out how do I get myself past where I am. But it's your processes. It's the things that you're doing consistently. It's the stuff that you can't quit. It's the stuff that you can't stop. God wants you to know that this is not so for you. You are not cursed. That's my third person I want to pray for. If you really honestly believe that you're cursed, like you just believe that stuff ain't supposed to happen for you, that if you're looking